Hi everyone, I hope you're all keeping well. I'm really missing you, seeing you every day at school. And in particular, one of the things that I'm really missing is seeing you every day in assembly and having the chance to talk with you and spend time with you. So I was thinking this weekend, why don't I share with you the assembly that I did in school on Friday with the children who are in, and then I'll feel that you're part of it and I'll feel like I'm actually having some time with you. So the story that I shared on Friday was about a little boy, and it's called The Invisible Boy. The main character is called Brian, and I'm going to share the story with you now and share the pictures as well. And then I've just got a couple of questions, things for you to think about and consider when you've heard Brian's story. So let me just see if I can share the pictures with you. Okay, here we go. The Invisible Boy. Can you see Brian, the invisible boy? Even Mrs. Carlotti has trouble noticing him in her classroom. She's too busy dealing with Nathan and Sophie. Nathan has problems with what Mrs. Carlotti calls volume control. He uses his outside voice, inside, far too much. Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her own way. Nathan and Sophie seem to take up a lot of space, but Brian, he doesn't. When the bell rings for playtime, Micah and JT take turns choosing children for their football teams. The best players get picked first, then the best friends of the best players, then the friends of the best friends. And only Brian is left still waiting and still hoping. JT glances in Brian's direction, but just as quickly he looks away. We've got enough players for each team, he tells the others. Let's play ball. In the dining hall, Madison and her friends talk about her birthday party. The rope swing over the pool was awesome, says JT. Yeah, so is that water slide, adds Fiona. That was the best pool party ever. Oh, I'm so glad you guys had fun, says Madison. Everybody did except Brian. He wasn't invited. At choosing time, while the other children play board games and read, Brian sits at his table, doing what he loves to do best. He draws fire-breathing dragons scaling tall buildings, space aliens locked up in intergalactic battles, greedy pirates digging for treasure, and superheroes with the power to make friends wherever they go. On Monday morning, Mrs. Carlotti introduces Justin, a new student, to the class. Brian smiles shyly at him, and some of the other children sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he's cool enough to be their friend. But they haven't quite made up their minds yet. At lunch, Madison and JT watch Justin eat with chopsticks. What's that? Asks Madison as she points at Justin's food. It's bulgogi. Oh, what? And the kids laugh. All of them, that is, except Brian. He sits there wondering, which is worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible? The next day, when Justin goes to his tray to put away his backpack, he notices a piece of paper with his name on it. At morning break, Brian finds a piece of chalk on the ground and starts drawing. You're Brian, right? Thanks for the note. Hey, Justin, Emilio calls out from the other court. You're up next. Oh, sorry, I gotta go, says Justin. But by the way, that's a really cool drawing, he adds before taking off. Back in class, Mrs. Carlotti asks the children to team up in twos or threes for a special project. The children scurry around the room to pair off, and Brian heads towards Justin. I'm already with Justin, says Emilio. You find someone else. Brian looks at the floor. wishing he could draw a hole right there to swallow him up. Hey, Mrs. Carlotti says we can work in groups of 3 people. We're only 2. Oh, come on, Emilio, let him work with us. Okay, I guess. Mrs. Carlotti gives the class directions for the project. Your assignment is to work together to write a story about what you see in that photograph. Use your imagination and have fun. Oh, that's cool, says Emilio. What kind of people do you think live in houses like that? I don't know, but I bet Brian could draw them to go with our story, says Justin. And Brian smiles as he takes out his lucky pen. Next 2 pages just show them working together, and you can see how close they've become and how well they're working together. It's lunchtime again, Brian's least favourite part of the day. Another 20 long minutes of children talking and laughing with everyone else but him. Brian, he hears someone shout. Hey, Brian, over here. Brian turns and sees Justin waving him over. Emilio nods at Brian and makes room for him at his table. Maybe, just maybe, Brian's not so invisible after all. We read that on Friday together in school. Some of the children talked about how Brian changes through the story, even within the drawings. So at the very beginning, when Brian's feeling invisible, he's drawn into the story as just black and white, just drawn in normal pencil. But then you notice that as Justin starts to notice him and reach out and they become friendly, then Brian becomes more coloured in like the rest of the children. And that really made us think about how we feel sometimes, if perhaps we're feeling a bit lonely or left out and we feel like we don't matter. And the idea of Brian being drawn in grey, we thought was a really effective way of showing how that makes you feel. So just a couple of things to think about from that story. Brian feels invisible and feels that no one notices him. I wonder if you have ever felt like that. Maybe even in the middle of a busy classroom or the playground, you feel like everyone else has got someone to play with or someone to talk to apart from you. So even though he's surrounded by other children, Brian feels lonely. But Justin helps Brian to be noticed. You think back through the story, how does he do that? One of the things I like about the story is that Brian actually reaches out first. Can you remember what Brian does to make Justin feel better when the other children have laughed at his food? It's Brian who reaches out and puts a note in Justin's tray because Brian understands what that feels like. So now think about what we can do after hearing that story and the thoughts that we might have. I wonder if there's anyone in your family or maybe your group of friends who might be feeling as if they're a bit invisible and no one's noticing them. And I wonder if you could think now of how you could be like Justin and help them to feel noticed and let them know that they matter to you. What can you do now that will help? It's hard because you can't go out and play with your friends, but is there something else you could do to let your friends know that you're still thinking about them and they still matter to you? If you do something, let me know. Okay, send me a message at school. Let me know if after hearing this story, you do something because you know there's somebody who might be feeling a bit lonely. And I'd love to hear about your actions and how you respond to today's story. But I'd like us to finish by actually saying our school prayer together. Something that keeps us together is our school prayer, the fact that we all know the same words. So let's say it together now. Dear God, help us to do the things we should, to be to others kind and good. In all we do and in all we say, to be more caring every day. Amen. Okay, take care everyone. We do really miss you in school. I really miss you. And I hope that we will all be back together very soon. Take care. Bye.